I remember legit saying to myself internally, this is going to be a problem, a big problem. Sober people are the greatest human beings to walk. They walk with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence. They got the battle scars to prove that they've been through life. I go to rehab on a Monday. Another guy from the Bachelor party goes to rehab on a Tuesday. And another guy went to rehab on a Wednesday. I didn't know life was going to be as awesome as it turned out. God gave me the gift. He took the obsession away from me, and he gave me the gift of sobriety. And he also gave me the gift of remembering how bad it was. I wear my recovery on my sleeve. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic, and I go to AA. I never want to go back to that.
You're listening to the Begin Again podcast, where real stories of addiction, recovery, and transformation take center stage. I'm Gary Menkes, and each week we bring you honest conversations with people who chose to stop surviving and start living. These are the stories that remind us healing is possible. No matter where you've been or what you've faced, it's never too late to take your power back. Thanks for being here. Let's begin again. Welcome back to the Begin Again podcast, where we amplify the voices of those who have rebuilt their lives in sobriety, stories of strength, second chances, and the beauty that blooms beyond addiction. Joining us tonight to share his experience, strength, and hope with us is a boy that we become boys. We are born from the same cloth. We got the same circle. We just found this out. I'm so excited. Chris
Totally.
Rosburg. Chris, welcome to the show.
Gary, awesome to be here, my man. I have heard your story several times over the past couple months and listened to it on podcasts. And I feel like you and I are kindred spirits.
No doubt. That's for sure. After we were just talking offline, we have some same circle almost here. And no doubt we were in the same places and kindred spirits. I'm so glad.
Yeah, man.
I mean that.
Thank you, man. Yeah, me too. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you, man. What an honor it is to be on your show.
Dude, honor is all mine to have you. You know, you've probably heard me say this and repeat all the time, but the one thing about the podcast, Chris, is I get to meet and I get to grow I get to meet so many incredible people with incredible stories and grow my sober network, if you will, right? And
yeah,
that network is as strong as they come with the greatest group of people you can ever meet.
Amen, man. Sober people are the greatest human beings to walk. They walk with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence. They've got a program to back them up, man. And they got the battle scars, dude, to prove that they've been through life, man. I freaking love sober people.
You and me both, for sure. And I don't know, have you been on like a little bit of a podcast tour? Because the guy that, our friend who did introduce us, is like the OG of podcasting, right? On the Sober Motivation.
He's dude, Brad's the man. I've gotten to know Brad over the past few months, and he's connected me with a bunch of great sober influencers and podcasters such as yourself. And yeah, man, he had me on his show a couple months ago. And it's funny, man. I'm not a big Instagrammer, you know, I've got friends that send me memes and clips and whatnot, but since I did his show, dude, I'm like getting hit by all these like people saying, hey, I heard your podcast. Great story. I have a similar story. And it's actually super cool, man. It's like being in a meeting, but you're talking to people from all over the country and they're sharing like, hey, you know, my son is trying to get sober and he just can't do it. I really heard your story and I thought that was great. I mean, whatever. It just makes you kind of feel good. And like you said before, man, there's that connection of being with another sober person, and whether it's face to face or typing away on email, it's been fun.
It's really cool. And those DMs, you know, that's bigger than us. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you.
Totally.
You said you get to share your story. Like, I heard this term, recover out loud. I wasn't even on social media until I started the podcast. And my wife has heard every crazy idea. I'm going to come last a sober podcast and, you know, be on social media sharing everything. And I wrote up like note, and she's like, that's all you. Drop everything else and go all in with this, because this is so you. I love talking about this stuff. The mantra, dude, to your point, was like, let's do this and let's help one person every time we put something out there. And that's the beauty of it.
You know, I love your baseline is the program, and it's loud and it's not shameful. And, you know, I wear my recovery on my sleeve. I mean, everybody that knows me knows that I'm sober, knows that it's not just like I'm taking a couple months off sober. They know that I have a problem with it. I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, and I go to AA. And I don't mince words. I kind of wear that proudly, you know. I mean, it's a program of anonymity, obviously, but I feel like God kept me alive for a reason. And if I can show somebody what living sober is like and looks like, and that might be inspiration or a reason for somebody to be like, dude, if Chris can do it, man, he was super fucked up back in the day. Like, I could probably do it, you know? So, and I know that you feel the same way just in listening to your story before, but I really appreciate that about you, man.
No, right back at you. And to your point, I was always like that. You know, after once I was comfortable, I'm not saying year one, I was like that, but once I was like, me too, I owned it. And, you know, I work in an industry too, where there's tons of people that are in the disease. And I was always like, hey man, and I had people coming up to me, you know, I went to rehab and I worked on this huge trading floor. There was a lot of people on this trading floor. Going back there was a difficult day, but the whole place knew that that dude needs help.
Yeah.
He went away and he's kind of working on himself.
Yeah.
Like slowly but surely, people would be like, hey man, can you take a walk with me after work? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, and they're asking me about how is it? And there was a bunch of us. And actually that meeting I'm talking about, that Thursday morning meeting, there was like 8 dudes just from my shop up and.
Yeah.
My point is, I was always like that. Even to other people, like, hey man, you stopped drinking. I'm like, yeah, why? You know, someone else's, this guy's messed up. Like, here's my number. Have him call me right now. You know, that's how I always was. And that's kind of, you know, this is a little bit, let's dive back in. How did we get here?
Sure, man.
How did we get here, brother?
So I grew up in Iowa. I'm an Iowa kid. I grew up in a small city in Iowa and had great parents. I was the oldest of 4 brothers, was around alcohol and drugs my entire life. My dad is an addict and an alcoholic. He's been sober for 25 years, maybe. So he went before me, but I knew what AA was and I knew what Al-Anon was because my mom kicked my dad out of the house until he got sober as a freshman in high school. Don't have my dad around and trying to figure out life. I'm growing up a little bit and my mom makes me go to these meetings with my brothers. And I'm just like, man, I'm so embarrassed. You know, I'm like, dude, these meetings, man. I walk in, there's a couple people from my school there, a couple classmates. And I'm like, back then it was embarrassing. Nowadays, you walk into a meeting and you see a homeboy from down the street and you're like, welcome, bro.
Yeah, right.
Good to see you, you know?
That's right.
But yeah, I started drinking my junior year. My story, just one of those of uncomfortableness. I was never comfortable with my body. I was never comfortable with who I was. I was a late bloomer in high school. I didn't go through puberty until I was probably a freshman in college. I got braces slapped on me my senior year. And that was a fucking mess, dude. I was put into the friend zone pretty much with everybody, right? So it's like, you want to go to a dance and be safe, just take Chris Rosburg, man. He's not going to put the moves on you because he's your friend. You know what I mean? And I drank. And so I started drinking and I was instantly, after a few drinks, I was freaking captain of the football team, man. I was the jock. I was the quarterback. I was the freaking stud soccer player. I was everything I wanted to be. It wasn't. And that's what alcohol did for me early on. And it was great, man. And got to college and joined a fraternity. And dude, all we did in the fraternity was party. And we all drank to black out. And that was like common, right? You know, I barely got through college. It took me about 4.5, 5 years to get through college. I went to Iowa State. By the way, I'm a Cyclone.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Wanted to move to the big city. And the big city for Iowa was either Chicago, Minneapolis, or Kansas City. And for some reason or another, I got a job in Kansas City and I moved down here. I fell right into the party scene, drinking alcoholically every night. I look back, think, man, I was 22 at the time. So my body was kicking, right? I could drink until 4 a.m, get up at 8 o'clock and slay the day. I was in sales. And so I was in outside sales. And so I had a territory and I could crush my sales goals and drink every night with no problem at all. There were no consequences for me, 0 consequences. So I kept pushing it like a true addict. I think I was probably 23 or 24 first time I tried cocaine. Dude, I remember who I was with, what I was wearing, what the weather was like. Dude, I remember everything about that night. And I remember that legit saying to myself internally, this is going to be a fucking problem, a big problem.
Yeah.
And at first it was great because I could do a little bit of it and be super social and I could drink more. I mean, I could go all night and I could still wake up early in the morning. And 2011 came around and I wanted to make a move. I wanted to move to New York big time. I wanted to party. I wanted to party hard. And I was 23 at the time. And 9/11 happened. And I'm like, dude, I'm not moving to New York. And so I ended up moving to LA instead. And I'll tell you, man, some of my favorite times in the world were in LA, and some of my worst, most disgusting, gross times were in LA. And that's when my addiction really took on new heights. I'll share this with you. I don't think I've shared this with a ton of people, but I was cast in a reality show out in LA about 8 months into me being out there. I was cast in this reality show, and it's a dating show. It wasn't a contest or anything. It was produced by the people that produced The Bachelor, but it was the exact opposite of The Bachelor. So instead of one guy that's dating all these girls and they know about them, they know about each other. It's about one guy that dates all these girls and none of them know about each other. And so I was the guy. And dude, I was in heaven, man. It was like I dated 12 girls in 6 weeks and I was on TV and we were busting into restaurants and bars, and I had 15 cameras on me. And dude, my fucking head was exploding, dude. It was all the booze you could drink. And I was smoking cigs at the time. So I was freaking chain smoking cigs, not on camera. They wouldn't let me smoke on camera. There were a couple nights that we went out that I got so drunk that they couldn't use the footage. Like I was like so fucked up, and they were mad because there was some good content there, you know. I couldn't fucking see straight, you know. It was like I went out there to do that kind of shit, right? I went out there to live life and party. I was 23. I wasn't married. I didn't have a girlfriend. I was on top of the world. I didn't think that I had an alcohol problem. I thought that I just loved to party, and that was just what I did. I surrounded myself with people that enabled it and said, go for it. I was always 10 steps above them. I was always way more whack than everybody else was, but I surrounded myself with dudes that okayed it. In that show, it was supposed to be on ABC that summer. And for some reason or another, it got postponed, and it got postponed again. And then it got shelved again. And then it just got shelved indefinitely. I was crushed, man. I was like, dude, total bummer. But man, in hindsight, like that was, you know, I'm 48 now. I did that when I was 24. That was 24 years ago. It's funny how God works, man. God got it. You know, we make plans and God laughs, because there is a reason why that show never aired. I mean, dude, I would have been public enemy number one. Here I am, like dating all these girls, and I'm telling them all these lies, and I'm just trying to, you know, trying to get them in bed. And it's like, I'm fucked up. And it was like, it wasn't who I was, you know, it in my core. It wasn't what I was raised to be and how I was raised. Superficially, that's who I was and that's who I wanted to be. But, you know, going back to high school, that wasn't the real Chris. And so anyways, that show kept getting shelved, and I just kept getting more and more and more fucked up. I'm sure you probably experienced this, but like living in a big city like that, you have access to anything you want.
And anytime,
dude. I had a dude come all hours of the night, would roll up into my apartment, open up his backpack, have me point to what I wanted. And I lived in a perpetual state of fucked. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Yes, absolutely. I was the same exact way, without the 12 girlfriends in 6 weeks, of course. But like, I loved to party. Loved it. And same thing. I'm still close with all my boys. And none of them are angels at all, but I was always, for the most part, 10 steps ahead too. I was on a different like pedal to the metal. And I also, even if we pull all-nighters, I'm up first thing in the morning, like, let's go, pedal to the metal. What do you mean?
Yeah.
We only got 48 hours here. We're going to get it all in like every single hour. And I was always like that. Yeah, I remember, I'm thinking now on trips, we went to a trip in Cancun. I don't know, we were like 21 years old. And dude, there was one guy that didn't really sleep the entire week, and that was me. I always had one other dude with me the whole time. Like when everyone else had downtime, at least I had one guy with me the whole week. I was like, anyway, not to talk about me, but
no, it's funny. Like, dude, when I got sober, a couple of years after I was been sober, I went to a nightclub with a whole bunch of rowdy bros that I used to run around with, and everything seemed super tame. And I said something to my buddy. I said, is it just me, or are you guys a bunch of pussies? You know? And he's like, oh, dude, we're doing the same thing we were with you, but you were always like here. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And like 2 years into being sober, I'm kind of like, yep, that's right. I was there,
I was
you
there.
know?
I did it right. You're in LA and,
Yeah, LA, it's burning, man. Yeah, I'm getting ready to burn down, and I'm starting to call in sick all the time. I'm starting to pull all-nighters. The guys I was hanging out with or the girls that I was running around with could always go to bed, and they could always get into work at some point the next day. I didn't have an off switch. I never had an off switch. And after pulling, a couple all-nighters, I had to show my face at work. And so, dude, I would go into work, and I was in outside sales, and I'd go into work and I'd get to work at like 6 a.m.
yeah.
I'd turn my computer on, shuffle my papers around the desk to look like I was already there before everybody, pour a fucking cup of coffee, put it on the table, drink a couple sips.
Yeah. Ooh.
So at this point, dude, I'm like clearly have a problem. And of course, the first step of my problem is to think that it's geographic. I'm like, dude, I'll just move back to Kansas City. Like, no one's partying like this in Kansas City. I can't access the drugs in Kansas City like I did like I'm doing right now. So I'm just going to move back home. So I did. And I'd been coming back and forth from LA to Kansas City because I was going to buy a house, and I'd been interviewing for jobs and had been looking at houses on the way. And I'd been back a week and had closed on a new house in Kansas City. And I was going to be like domesticated, dude. I had bought this house, and I was going to do like home improvement projects and build fences and, make sure my house is running. I closed on the house. I got the keys to my house. I'm driving to my brand new house, and I'm pumped, man. I'm first time homeowner. I'm 29 at the time. I'm ready, man. Let's go. I get a call from an old buddy. And he's like, dude, I heard you're back in town. A bunch of us are meeting up for a drink. You should meet us out. I'm like, yeah, dude. Man, right? And hanging up the phone, I remember saying to myself, like, one drink is not going to hurt, man. One drink, no big deal. Dude, I turned around, didn't open the new house yet. I turned around, met my buddy out. I was up for 5 or 6 days. I didn't open that house for the very first time for an entire week after that, man. I went on a bender that was just ridiculous, man. Again, that off switch, like, thought I moved back home because it was geographic, but dude, if you're a true addict and you're a true alcoholic, man, you're going to find the party.
Really?
The party doesn't find you. You find the party, man.
No doubt.
You create the party. And so I ran super hard for 2 years, man, really, really hard. And I started having dreams that I was falling apart, like really tragic dreams that I was going to die. And I knew my time was coming to an end, and I knew that I was going to have to get some help some way or another. I got a DUI, was on the verge of losing jobs. Internally, I was becoming morally bankrupt, running through everything, every relationship I had, every friendship, platonic friendship I had, burned through, every romantic, intimate relationship with a woman, plowed through. Like, my mom and dad didn't want to have anything to do with me. My brothers didn't want to be around me. I was a loose cannon, man. You never knew where I was going to end up at 4 a.m. And also you didn't know the quality of people that I was running around with at that point in my life. I think probably some of them are still running around like that. The later it got in my addiction and the later at night it got, the lower quality dudes and chicks I was running around with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No doubt.
And so I started praying, man. It's the only thing I knew how to do. I started praying. I said, and my prayers went like this. It was like, God, I'm in trouble here. I know you don't want me living like this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop. I can't stop. I've made promises to you that I would only drink beer on certain nights if you did this for me, or I'd only drink vodka, but I want to do cocaine or whatever. And none of them ever worked. And I said, I need to go away. I can't just walk into an AA meeting. My shit is so far gone that I need rehab, and I need you to get me to rehab. Get me to rehab without hurting myself and without hurting anybody else around. And I prayed that for 6 months. You know what they say, God's never late, right? It was March of 2010, and it was the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. That Kansas City hosts the Big 12 basketball tournament. And I would say travels so well. And I had a whole bunch of buddies down there. Okay, so my weekend started on a Wednesday. And I put everything in my body that weekend except for food and water. I was a complete mess by Sunday. I was hallucinating. I was having a panic attack. I thought that I was dying. The ambulance came to my house when the party was clearing out and they rolled me away. The next morning, my brothers showed up and they had said, "Hey man, we're taking you to rehab." Everybody knew. I mean, everybody knew that that's where I was going to be. I think my brothers and certainly my mom and dad had been praying for it. And I was in rehab the next day. But side note, I was at my brother's wedding 2 weeks ago, and one of the guys at his wedding had his bachelor party down in Kansas City that weekend. And that was part of I was at his bachelor party. No shit. I go to rehab on a Monday. Another guy from the bachelor party goes to rehab on a Tuesday. And another guy went to rehab on a Wednesday. And we were laughing so hard and all three of us are still sober. But that dude's bachelor party crushed three of us guys.
That's a legendary bachelor party.
Hey, everyone, quick break to tell you about Recover. That's RCVR. If you're on this journey of recovery, you already know it's not just about quitting. It's about rebuilding. It's about self-discovery and reclaiming your best life. That's exactly why I created Recover, a lifestyle brand built for us, by us, those who have walked through the fire and come out stronger. Head over to recoverbrand.com. That's RCVRbrand.com to grab your Recover gear. We wear it as a daily reminder that you're not alone and that your story is just beginning. And because you're part of this community, use Recover20 for 20% off your first order. And wear your story, share the message, and end the stigma. Now back to the show.
Seriously, right?
Man, I haven't heard that. Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I thought
We
I was good with that. I can't match that one, man.
Dude, we laughed so hard, man. It was good. I said, dude, you got to take that up a notch, man. That's your deal, man. You got to let people know that your bachelor party sent 3 dudes sober, you know? But yeah, man. So that's really the story of how I got here. I remember going to rehab and crying, like hysterically crying the whole way there with my brothers. Call my mom and dad. I'm like, Dick, I'm crying. I'm sobbing. I don't know what my life is going to, I thought my life was fucked at that point.
Yep, I'm with you.
Everything I knew evolved around drinking and being the life of the party and being the social, fun, happy, like, hey, guy, you know? And I thought my life was fucked. I didn't know life was going to be as awesome as it turned out, right? And my mom and dad said something to me that they basically said, I said, "Are you guys mad at me?" She's one of the most important women in my life. And they both said, "Mad at you? We've been praying for this moment for 10 years. And that was good, man. That was what I needed to hear. Went away for 30 days and was similar to your story, dude. I called HR on the way there.
Yeah.
And I showed up to work for 5 days prior. I called my boss and I left a message. She called me back right away and she's like, "Do whatever you got to do. We'll be thinking about you." And then I called HR and HR was by the book. They're like, "We will see you in 30 days. You have your job. Here's short-term disability if you need to apply for it." I mean, they were so great. And it was a total blessing, dude. I mean, because, you know, you go to rehab and there's some people that just rolled in there off the street and they can't pay for it or whatever. And your heart goes out to those people because you wish you could do more for those people. But I was very lucky, man. I was very lucky and very blessed that I got to go away for 30 days and get my shit straight and come out.
You're bringing me back to when I went away because you mentioned, you know, as you know, I went AWOL too. Same thing. I got basically papers. They said, you know, if you're alive, you need to contact us. Otherwise, I was like, I'm alive, you know, barely, and I need help. I got a problem, and it was real. You know, I was thinking quickly on my feet too because I knew at least, you know, I probably by myself 30 days or so. Right when I got up there, I thought my life was. I was like, look at what you drove yourself to now, man. Yep. Life is over. That was my complete identity. Forget about rehab. What am I? My life's over. It's completely over. I remember the guys that were in there. There was a fire. I was outside 9/11, 6 blocks north when the planes hit. A few months after that, April is when I went to that rehab. And there was a fireman. There was a really banged up NYFD fireman who I him really hit it off, and they gave him his own room. He had a lot of stuff going on, but there was a priest in there too. And they call it the Miracle on the Mountain. It was upstate. It's called St. Christopher's. My wife had a friend up near there and she was going to visit them. I'm like, I'm going to drive you there and I'm going to go visit where I spent 30 days. And man, it was so cool to go back there because I went there for 30 days and then all I had to do was the day I got out was go to a meeting, and my journey wasn't over, and I didn't go to a meeting, and I never even put 60 days together. I was in and out for 4 years and it was brutal, but to go back there and go to that library where I spent a lot of time, read a lot of books that week. But me and you I think we had a lot of fun together.
Totally, man. Yeah. When you're in a room, you're in one of the rooms and you're like, somebody's going around, and sometimes I daydream a little bit. I'm like, who are the 3 guys in this room that I'd fucking want to roll with? Just one fucking night. No consequences. We'll go back in the morning to be an alcoholic. We'll go back to being sober, but just one night. Who would they be? And I know who they'd be, man. And honestly, listen to yours. I think you'd be right up there with them.
Listen, I've been sober 19 years too. And then sometimes I have those daydreams too. Like, hey, man, like if you told me there was an alternate universe that I can enter and we can go on a real run for a few days and then come back and no one's mad at me and I don't have any guilt or any shame and everything. I would explore that for sure. But I know that's not reality. And that's the mark of a sick man, right?
It is, man, because most normal people don't think that. Most normal people don't think about burning it down. I never wanted to have just a couple casual margaritas on the dock when it's springtime and it's nice out and everybody's walking. I never wanted to do that. I wanted to be hanging from the rafters at some point at the night, whooping it up, man. I wanted to be the most drunk and the most loud.
Like you, I didn't have an off switch either. And if any of my buddies are listening to this one, they're going to be like, yeah, no, he did not have an off switch at all. But towards the end, I was, let's go and let's just ramp it all the way up. Make some epic out of this night, right? But towards the end, I was like, get me to a bar with no windows and a jukebox because it was just dark. And I love to isolate at the end. I would be out with a group of people and then boom, I would Irish exit.
God, man, that
my own way.
Same. Mine was just slightly different than that. I would whoop it up all the way until about 2 a.m. And then I would get my own little bag of toot and I would go home and I would listen to music and I would snort coke all night long by myself. And I became an isolationist loser. Like I became a weird guy. Like I was the kind of guy that towards the end there started off as this fun, big personality, loud, fun guy. And then the last year, I was this super weird guy that was like in the corner, always twitching and like the crackhead shit. And that is what I remember when I get those feelings of euphoria. Like, oh man, that was awesome. And then I've been really blessed. God gave me the gift of, he took the obsession away from me and he gave me the gift of sobriety. And he also gave me the gift of remembering how bad it was.
Yeah.
Because that's truly what keeps me sober. I never want to go back to that. Life is too good right now that I just never want to go back to feeling like a piece of shit, feeling shameful and feeling alone and dirty. Life is just so much different than it was.
But you and me both, you say about the obsession of alcoholism will be lifted. I remember guys were telling me, you will have the obsession to drink will be lifted from you. And I was like, fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, dude, you're talking to the wrong guy. Like, you don't know who you're talking to. And lo and behold, a few years later, I'm sitting all alone. I'm like, holy cow, man. You know what? I think the obsession to drink has been lifted. I don't want to live that way anymore. Like to your point, I have those stupid daydreams or whatever, like of a sick dude, right? But now there's 2 people counting on me too now. Like you just said it, or you're putting babies to bed. There's too many people counting on us. But aside from that, you talked about this beautiful life that we thought our lives were over, right? And we know our lives were just getting started.
Yeah. They are, man. They are. And, I never thought that I'd get married. I never thought that I'd have kids. I never thought that I'd ever be in a situation that I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. I just never thought that it would come together like it has, right? And, I shared this in a meeting. I want to share it with you because I keep thinking about it. I pray every morning. This is what I shared a couple nights ago, is that I've been praying lately for a breakthrough. And I don't know what that breakthrough looks like. I don't know if it's a pot of gold at the end of the finish line. I don't know if it's a bunch of accolades or attaboys, because my ego still gets in the way of shit. Or I don't know if it's a new job that pays me a gazillion dollars. I don't know what it is, right? But I'm praying for a breakthrough. I had this thought the other day when I was praying, is that maybe I'm experiencing the breakthrough right now.
Mm.
Maybe God has already answered that prayer and said, bro, this is your life. I gave you this life. You worked hard at it, but I set this up for you, man. And you are taking advantage of it. And I have gifted you a beautiful wife that is loyal, fiercely loyal, super awesome, and is a great mom and a great partner. I have these beautiful kids that are healthy and happy, and they're crazy and they love their dad. And I've got this great job and I love what I do for a living. Maybe this is the breakthrough. I lead a men's group on Tuesday night. We get anywhere from 25 to 40 dudes. We get to share stuff like this. And maybe this is the breakthrough, bro. Maybe this is not the finish line, but the beginning line of experiencing even more blessings. And so I've been really like playing with that, because I think that, maybe that's what God's telling me, to just like enjoy the ride and enjoy like what you're experiencing right now.
I love that. And at the same time, I love that you're praying for, asking God for the breakthrough, right? The breakthrough is, maybe there is, as you're telling me this, man, I think there's more to come for you. And maybe it's in the form of sharing your awesome story, because I know you've done, it seems like you're getting your name out there, if you will. You already are
Yeah.
meetings, and keep that prayer going. I think that's a healthy prayer, is what I'm saying, man.
Thank you, man.
It's
Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, man.
No, I appreciate that. But man, I got to tell you, this is one of those ones, like, we could probably go for a couple more hours. I wasn't at that bachelor party though,
Dude.
I'm sure if I would have met, I mean, that sounds like just an epic class, right?
Yeah. Epic class. Big time, man. Yeah.
But man, I loved having you. This is one of my favorite conversations I've had in a long time.
Oh, thanks, man.
Out of my heart. But like we said offline, we get to meet incredible people and we get to start awesome relationships with people in an incredible community. That's going to be you and I. Say hello to my boys tonight or tomorrow, whenever you can. And man, I'd love to have you back on, because we really wrapped well here tonight. I really love
it. Dude, I would love to come back on, man. I'd love to tell you down the road what I've been working on and what I'm up to. Let's stay in touch, dude. I'd love to come back on, man. It truly was an honor.
No, honor all mine.
I'm going to text our boys tonight, let them know that you and I had a nice conversation. So,
please do.
Great to know you, dude.
Right back at you, man. We'll do this again, brother. God bless you, man. And thanks for your shit. Chris, I almost forgot to ask you one last question. Please tell us about the Sober City.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for asking about it. Yeah, man. I created a mobile app for us sober people, and it's a daily reflection app. It's called Sober City. It's available on Apple and the Google Play Store. I basically took all of our favorite sober slogans, like one day at a time, keep it simple, stupid, play the tape out, all the things. And I actually came up with about 365 sober slogans, so one for every day. And there's 3 parts to it. There is the reflection part, and the reflection is basically me writing about what I think it means to me based on my experience in being sober for the past 15 years. There's a daily prompt section, which kind of tells you, do something today according to the slogan. And likely it's a prayer. My hope in building this thing was to draw people a little bit closer to their higher power and teach them how to pray a little bit better. Not that I'm an expert at all, but I'm a short and simple prayer guy, and those are what those prayers are. And then there's the last part is the lightened up piece, which is kind of a comedic look at a lightened up look at the slogan. And yeah, dude, we've been live since November. And we have a few thousand downloads and made it free. There's no in-app purchases. It's completely free for all of us. My hope is that I can shed a little bit of happiness on everybody for a good day.
Unbelievable. Absolutely love this.
Thanks, man.
Unbelievable. Man, again, this is totally repetitive to my audience, so I apologize in advance, but I'm just every single time, and this has been a special conversation between you and I, but I'm just in awe of people like you have been through the ringer, you have your story, and now you have this beautiful life with a beautiful family, but you're also doing big stuff and doing stuff to help people not have to go through some of the stuff that you and I went through. And there's really, I think that is just, it is so powerful, I believe. And I think it's beautiful, man. I really do.
Oh man, thanks for saying that. Yeah. Just, sometimes I struggle each day with the happiness part and the joy part of being in the present moment. And when I wrote these slogans, man, it brought me a lot of joy and it brought me a lot of happiness. So I'm like, dude, maybe I can deliver a little bit of that to some other sober people. So, dude, I appreciate you letting me share that on your show.
I just downloaded now. I'm creating my account as we speak. So I'm looking forward.
Sweet.
And yeah, so go give it everyone go check it out. Sober City, right? I said it right. Sober City.
Yeah, Sober City.
Show notes too, so people can find it in the show notes. So Chris, man, now we definitely have to have you back on. I'm going to see how, as this thing grows and as you grow. And Bud, really grateful to have you on tonight. It's so good to connect with you, brother.
Likewise, dude. I appreciate you, Gary. Good to know you, man.
Right back at you, my man. God bless, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Begin Again podcast. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that healing is possible, I'd love for you to share it. Subscribe, leave a review, and help us spread the message that no one is too far gone to begin again. And if you're ready to wear your recovery with pride, visit us at recoverbrand.com. That's RCVR Brand.com. And until next time, take your power back.